Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where off camera I put in the last two arms here that we needed, and that should be great. Another thing that I did was I turned actually not here, but I turned all of our other reaction wheel authorities down to that same 9%. With this way out here, we were starting to see some pretty scary krakens, so I turned that down a bit and it seems to be a whole lot better. So that's great. We've got this all good to go. You'll note that we've still got some modular girder segments over here that we can build some of our other modules for this station out of, or at least we can begin those. And that'll be absolutely fine. We've also still got our engine here. I've moved it over to here for right now. We'll see where we want to end up putting that. But right now, before we bring in an asteroid, what do we need to do? Well, we need to get ourselves our next two modules. So that is our ring constructed at long last. Our next two modules should be pretty basic. We're going to need to construct a location for them as well. And in fact, maybe we should do that now, but I kind of want to get some at least plans going for how we're going to do that. Now, I'm pretty sure the ore can flow through those modular girder segments, so I think that's okay. For our processing facility, we're going to need to be able to process it. Well, we can mine the ore right now, right? One thing that we don't have for that is anything to do with thermals. So we're going to need to be able to cool these. We've got like 2 slots per module, I think. No, it's really 1 slot per mining module. And we've got, I think, 6 total mining modules. I'd have to double check that. You know, we really should get this prepped first. We're going to go back to the station here. We're going to get this prepped for additional modules first and figure out what exactly we're going to need. We know that we need storage for ore. We know that we need processing ability for ore. We know that we need storage for fuel. And we know that we need thermals for our mining and processing, and we're probably going to require additional power as well. So that's all something to think about. Now, if I recall correctly, we're on the dark side right now. That may not be true, but let's see what we've got. Let's hop in here. No, we're not on the dark side. Okay, sounds good. So yeah, we're going to need a thermal module off of this modular girder segment. So we're going to need 6 total and hope that that's big enough. If it's not, we can potentially do something else. It looks like we've got a little bit of bend in here, but that's probably overall to be expected. Just from things going maybe not quite center or something like that. That's okay. This is meant to bend around anyway. It looks like it's straight here and a little bit bent this way, which is interesting. But overall, that should be fine. We're going to have Bill EVA here, and we're going to need to build our locations for our next couple of modules. So we're going to get ourselves a little bit of distance here. We're going to have space for at least 2 additional modules here. And what are we going to do? Well, we're going to grab these modular girder segments, and we're going to have them come straight out this direction. Apparently, you cannot mount them. No, you can. Okay. Maybe. Okay. We'll mount it here. Now, that's not the angle that I wanted. Oh, this isn't actually snapping correctly. That would be why. This is the angle that I wanted, and the position. So that'll be great. That's much better. We're going to do the same thing over on this side, if we can sneak it in there, and the answer is yes, we can. So that is going to be the attach point for our next 2 modules. So what are we going to do in terms of distance here? Well, I want to have a distance of probably at least 5 or 6 modular girder segments. That's 5. So let's grab another one and just deposit it over here momentarily. And we can put in a few over here. 1, 2. That's actually 3 total. We'll just come over this way a bit for range. Yeah, that's getting too far away. Okay. We'll deposit that there temporarily and come on over this way. So that's 4 right now, and then 5 and 6. We're definitely kicking out of our orientation a little bit. That's to be expected. For now, we will time warp to freeze that rotation. And that's the reason why I'm quick saving a lot too. There's a lot of physics cracking that goes on when you're doing this sort of thing. We so far haven't had any part losses, which is a little bit surprising to me, but I'm completely okay with that. So we're going to grab this guy and place him in like that. Okay, so we've got a good number of these yet. I think I want one more on each. Okay, so we're going to come over here and we're going to grab one more modular girder segment, place that over here. There we go. And we're going to come over this way and place one over here as well. Cool. So we'll get that in over here. This is a bit of a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we'll do 8. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. I saw it bounce out a little bit, but it's fine. Okay, so we're going to come over here and get this guy mounted on. And as far as these modular girder segments go, we can actually do some storage of those in these containers. So I wouldn't mind doing that. The grab arm here, we cannot store in the container, so we're going to have to try to find a different home for that. That's just like a spare part or something. I'm not exactly sure what we're doing with that. But I guess we can just slot that guy in like... Where do we want that? I guess we could put it over this way. I don't love that idea. We could just mount it here temporarily. Okay. So at this point, I want to start storing modular girder segments in here where possible. They take up a lot of volume. I'm not sure we can get all of them in here. Yeah, that's like a whole lot of volume. And this is reaction wheels. Right, we wanted another reaction wheel up here, didn't we? I'm going to take that off, and we're going to mount that. If I can find a place where it will attach to something. Apparently it can't be attached radially. It just... Okay, we can attach it there. That'll do for now. And I think we wanted a reaction wheel in front of each of these grab arms, didn't we? I think that was the plan. So we're going to do that. We're going to just get these guys out of here for now. And can we store that in there? No, we can't. But we can store a few more modular girder segments in these. That'll do. And we may be able to consolidate together like some of these hinges and such and store another modular girder segment in this one. Is that enough space? We've drifted out of range. Okay. Let's drift back into range. Thank you very much. Anytime now. Okay. I also want to come out of construction mode temporarily here. We can't interact with those from out here. Okay. I wanted to check that, but that's fine. So we'll head in over this way, and where are all of those other modular girder segments? They are in here. We can fit 5 per section. Okay. Sounds good. So from there, we can put another hinge in here. In fact, we can put 2 in, and that one's now full. Okay. So we're, of course, going to need to get these guys mounted elsewhere. For now, we can do this to get this in here. And we're going to have to move these on over. So that is something that we will go ahead and do now-ish. We should be able to mount this on top of the hub. Right up over here. I hope. Yes. Okay, that'll do for now. Ah! Bill, don't do your weld animation right now. Very rude. Okay. So all we're going to do here is we are going to detach this guy. And temporarily place it over here is fine. Like, literally anywhere is fine. And weld animation. Okay. I can see that this is not exactly the rotation that I'd like it to be. We may as well try to change that right now. There we go. And then we will go ahead and mount the reaction wheel there. And then the grab arm. There we go. So now we have a reaction wheel out here to help with the physics kraken. And we're going to need to go get our other 2 reaction wheels that I forgot to put on here. But that is fine. It's not a big deal to get those put on. Okay. So we're going to get turned around here and get moving over this direction. It's going to be a little bit awkward to get this guy placed over here. We may have to change directionality here. I think we'll be okay. We should be able to deposit it at the end here. Yes. Cool. And then we'll position over here. I'm just checking in on our EVA propellant. Looks good. And we'll place this guy right here. Place in that reaction wheel. I'm not sure if that was upside down or not. And now this doesn't want to fit in here. Okay. We may have to change the actual positioning of this guy. So for now, we'll just get these all taken out of here. We'll need to reconstruct this section and move this up. That's not a big deal. So we'll do exactly that. This would then go approximately here. And then the hinge goes back on. Not like that, but that'll do for now. We need to change our drift direction here. Okay, Bill. Okay, there we go. And that's not snapped on at the angle we want, which is sad. These hinges can be a little bit problematic to get at their correct angle. And Bill's welding. Thanks, Bill. Can you not? Okay. There we go. Got to get this rotated like that. And now that's snapped on at the correct angle. Fantastic. Next, we put this guy back on. And this guy on top. And there we go. Cool. One more to go. So we're going to head off over this way. And we're going to grab this last reaction wheel here. Just going to change our momentum a little bit. And off we go. Cool. Might miss a little bit here. We'll see what our angling is looking like. Okay, all good. And let's park right here. Looks like we're going to be good to not have to take this whole arm apart. That's great. And we'll just plop our reaction wheel and then plop our grab arm. So there's that all done. These are very small reaction wheels, so I'm not convinced that we're going to have to turn them down. We'll keep an eye on that, and if we do need to turn down our... This is very bright. If we do need to turn down our reaction wheels on the arms, that is definitely something that we can do. I've turned down our reaction wheels... Can you not be stuck, Bill? Thanks. I've turned down our reaction wheels elsewhere, but for now, this'll do. Okay. So we're going to go back to trying to store some of this stuff, and we're going to need to get out these docking ports. For right now, we're going to put a docking port over here. And a docking port over here. Okay. There we go. That gives us a lot of space in this cargo storage unit, and we will put in some modular girder segments. Okay, we can get 4 in there. Sounds good. This one is not full yet, so we can get 1 in there. And at this point, we need to fit 2 more. Okay. There's a decent amount of space in here, but we can move this hinge up. Can that fit another one? Yes, it can. Now that's full. So all we have is this 1 modular girder segment. And we're basically full in all of these. Okay. Well, I guess we can use this as like a mounting point for this guy. So we can put this here, and that's just kind of our remaining spare parts pile. Sure. It's a little awkward, but I'm sure it's fine. I mean, this isn't awkward at all either. So we're going to then grab our... Okay. The docking port wasn't highlighting green. I was a little worried there for a moment. But we're just going to put a docking port out at the end of each of these beams. Cool. Going to come out over this way and do the same thing. This docking port is highlighting, so I guess that was just a visual bug. And we're going to pop that in right there. Okay, so we now know that we have 6 mining arm modules. And so we're definitely going to need 6 thermal cooling solutions. We're going to grab this guy and we're going to hop on in. We next need to get our processing, storage, power, and heat going. So we're going to head back to the Space Center and we're going to bring up another craft. This craft should be far less awkward, and it should be far more able to do the kind of thing we need it to do, in theory. Now, one of those docking ports that we put up there, I want that to be the docking port that you connect to when you're trying to, like, refuel a craft. Alternatively, we could have another docking port that goes on. That is something that we could do. But for now, I want to get at least a significant portion of that up so we can bring in an asteroid and intercept this thing and actually have this happen. That would be awfully nice. So let's go ahead and load on in here. And we're next going to get a probably a medium remote guidance unit. Is that the right size for the Convertitron 250? No, we need one size larger. Okay. What do we got here? Just the Elo one? I believe this is the correct size. Yeah, so that's the guy we're going to be going with. Now, the Convertitron is going to need some of its own cooling, which is fine. We're going to use, like, large thermal control systems. That might be too big for the mining arms. We may have to go with, like, mediums. So we'd go with 6 mediums. This would be for the mining arms here, right? So that would get the mining arms somewhat cooled. I'm not sure it would get them entirely cooled. And then we would need a cooling solution for the Convertitron. And I'd probably want to bring up like 6 more. Now, they don't get attached down here, so we're just... The Convertitron's probably going to end up getting moved, is what's probably going to end up happening here. A lot of this stuff is. And what size of fuel tank is this? Okay. So this is X200 size. We were not able to move an X232 previously. So there is that. I'm not sure we'll be able to move this tank. We should test that. And the way that I'm going to test that is by putting in a seat here. So we're going to put in a external command seat. Sure, 6 of them will do. And we are going to bring in Kerbals. I hired Kerbals off camera for some testing. Kerbals has never flown. But we're going to put in Kerbals here. And, well, Kerbals did fly. I cheated a craft out to test something and then reverted it. But because we reverted it, Kerbals never actually flew. So we make this tank completely empty, in theory. This tank would be, in some ways, our storage tank. It probably wouldn't be our final storage tank. I want to make sure that we can move this thing, is all I want to do right now. So we're going to bring these down to 0. No fuel in either of them. I want to make sure that we can move the Convertitron and the thermal control systems before we do this. So, in theory, it would be something kind of like this. We would need ore storage as well. So, a holding tank of some description. Let's see here. Holding. Okay, this is a medium holding tank. Is that the correct width? No, a large holding tank is the correct width. So that would go like down here. There's no ore in it right now. That's fine. Now we're probably going to want to restructure this and possibly even bring up a second one of these. But it will be something kind of along the lines of this. For now, all we're going to do is we're going to put this on the pad. And of course, it can't go anywhere, right? It obviously can't go anywhere. But we're going to put this on the pad, and we're going to just put this out in orbit, and Kerbals is going to see if we can move these parts. That's the plan here. I just want to make sure that these parts are movable before we actually launch it via a, like, movability simulation, I guess we could call it. So that's going to be what's going to happen here. As soon as we load on in. Any moment now. There we go. Okay, so we're going to place this into, with set orbit, we're going to place this into just an orbit. We don't care where this is. Just put it in an orbit. There we go. We are now in orbit. So Kerbals is not able to EVA, but I believe you can leave seat. Yes. This is, of course, going to be reverted. So this is completely fine. Kerbals is facing this direction and not wanting to shift to a different... Gerbils? You okay, Gerbils? Gerbils is just kind of tumbling and not... Kerbal has no operational SAS modules and no pilots aboard. I feel like this is a bug, but sure. All I want to do is check to see if we can grab these parts, right? And we can revert this if it gets too bad. Okay. We can grab the thermal control system. Sounds good. We're going to move our thermal control systems down over this way for now. Actually, we know that we can grab this. We can just abandon these parts since we're going to revert this. Okay. Let's... Gerbils? Oh, Gerbils is spinning. This is now completely uncontrollable. Gerbils, can you stop? Gerbils can't stop. Let's try going back to Gerbils here. Yeah, she can't engage SAS. Is that something to do with her skill level, maybe? Maybe. But what we can always do is we can revert that back to the launch, and we can try it again, and see if it's a bug. It may or may not be. It may be related to Gerbils' skill level. I don't know. If need be, we can do a ladder system. But I don't think that's strictly speaking necessary. So we know that we can move the thermal control tiles, correct? In that case, we should probably revert this back to vehicle assembly and just remove those. Okay. So back to vehicle assembly we go. And we're just going to remove those. I'm also going to remove this tank. We don't need two of them. This is not the actual craft that we're going to be sending up. This is just for testing purposes. Okay, so we now need to know if we can detach the three components. We don't care about where we reattach them or if we reattach them at all, because of course this is going to be reverted. I just want to make sure that these parts can be manipulated. That is the only thing that we want to know before we launch this thing. So, these are the three core parts that we're going to need. We know that. And if they can be manipulated, then we can have a pretty tall stack here and then just like rebuild it. So once again, we're going to put this in orbit. And it may also be that Gerbils is bugging out because of this teleport to orbit thing. That might be part of it too, which is fine. Okay, so Gerbils is once again not really too controllable here. Okay. But that's not necessary. We don't need controllability. All we need is to go this way. Okay. We don't seem to be able to grab the large holding tank. So that is a problem. For sure. If we can't grab the large holding tank, then... yeah, we don't really know what we can do about that. I mean, we can just have this be set up where it's like a large holding tank, this guy, and then like an empty... okay, let me just show you what I'm talking about here. And yeah, you can ignore this. That was all for temporary testing purposes. We can have this set up so that it is something along the lines of... actually, we would need to do... kind of like this. And then we would have the thermal protection system, the mediums, which would be thermal control system mediums. And this is probably overkill to bring 12 of them, but I would bring 12 of them just to make sure we had some spares if we needed to do some redesign. And these tanks would both be completely empty. And then we would have a docking port somewhere up here, although we'd probably want these lower down over here, and we'd want to have some power on this as well. So I would like to put in like a pair of Gigantors. I'd like for this thing to be relatively self-reliant on the power. So we would have it drop in a pair of Gigantors like that. We could also bring in another 4K battery pack like that. And then a docking port up here. And then we just wouldn't rearrange this. And if we needed additional bits, like if we needed more to happen here, and I would also bring in a couple of struts in position to strut this in, because I wouldn't want this wiggling around. So we would just strut that together like that, and we'd use these struts from EVA to strut it and strengthen this. I'd actually probably do this in quad. So this would be what we'd be delivering to the station here. And that should do the trick. So at that point, we know that we can do a we can do a decoupler here. So this would be a TD25 decoupler. And then we'd have our actual maneuvering stage here, which would be another one of... Actually, I would kind of like this to be a big orange tank instead of this one. And again, it'll be empty. So a Jumbo 64 tank like that, we'll make it orange just because orange is cool. And then we will reattach our heat panels. Once again, we're doing 6 here. So that's 12, and that should be enough in theory. We can rearrange those as need be. And then we put that in. We make sure that this tank is empty. It is. And then this would be a T-32. That would be a full tank. Would we need to have a fairing on this? It would probably be best to have a fairing here. It would definitely be a heavy fairing. But we would do like a payload. We'd do a 2.5 meter fairing. And then just bring it up like this. It's definitely pretty heavy, but that would protect the station module. Something kind of like that. Now, this doesn't really have any comms in it. It shouldn't need them. It's an antenna rating of 5K, but we could toss one on just to be on the safe side, a like HG55 Communitron. And that would go like right here. That would be fine. Okay, so something kind of like that. We've got the fairing, and then this would be a fairly standard Poodle maneuvering stage here. And then we'd have another decoupler, a TD25. One of these guys. There we go. And then a pair of Jumbo 64s that are actually fueled. Nice and orange. And what would our thrust to weight be with a mainsail here? 1.21. So we would definitely need to heavy lift this. I'm not shocked about that. And we could name this the processing station. There we go. Go ahead and save that. And then we would attach on the... Where are we? Here we are. We would attach on a pair of radial decouplers like here, and probably something like a pair of Clydesdales would be overkill. I think that we go for Pollexes here. So we bring that on down, something like that, and we can lower the position of the radial decoupler down to about here. Put on our aerodynamic nose cones, something like that. Cool. What's our thrust to weight? 1.72. This feels like low delta V, though. Only 1827. Oh, and then another 1191 here. Right, I was misreading that a bit. Okay. So something like that should get us there in theory. I don't think that we will need to... I don't think that we'll need to refuel it. I hope. But this is 1.72 as is, so I think we're going to save that, and it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we are going to bring up our processing component to the station. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, JJ Gamer, Spartan News, Rose Valentine, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.